As a music teacher, a music educator, one of the most common issues you come to face with in one-to-one lessons or even group lessons consistent is a student practicing. And we're going to discuss what you need to do as a teacher to help the student practice more or know what to practice. But before we get into that, my name is Masuma Koric. I have been teaching for a couple of years now, one-on-one lessons. I also have helped a few people become teachers themselves and turn their passion, their hobby into a proper business that they can make an income through. I'm also the owner of Sonaru.net, a website that I've created to help music teachers and music students connect. They can find each other on there, do all their invoicing. Everything is done on there for the teacher. It's completely free for both student and teacher. The teacher can start earning money right away, but we'll get into that at the end of the video. What do you do when a student isn't practicing? Well, there's first of all three main reasons why a student isn't practicing, and those will be that they don't know what to practice. So at the end of the lesson, when you should be telling the student what to practice, you're not being clear enough. Is it going to probably be the main reason? Either A, you're not being clear enough, or B, they've forgotten, which is pretty common with younger students. But being very clear is probably the way to go. And we'll get into that next on how to be more clear. The task has felt too hard or too boring, and life just gets in the way sometimes. We have things come up where we just don't have time to practice, but that can also be used as an excuse, so do look into that. It can feel a bit awkward to have that conversation with a student, telling them that they mustn't be practicing enough or there isn't enough practice being done. That conversation can be a bit hard to have. I personally have struggled with that conversation, especially when I just started teaching. But there's 4 steps that I've outlined that are going to help you and have helped me to have this conversation. Our main goal is to not be vague, so we want to make it clear so the student understands. We set a specific task, not just go practice. So let's say a student is learning a new song. Get them to learn the first, maybe just the intro, maybe just, if it's written out in music notation, the first 8 bars are going to work perfectly. Be really specific. Don't just tell them to go practice, what you've learnt, because honestly, even as a student, sometimes we just forget. I'm definitely one who has forgotten a lot. And then number 2, we make it very easy to start. So rather than starting with, the full practice time length of 30 minutes or an hour, we start at something very small. 5 minutes a day is probably perfect. I kind of treat it the same as when I go to the gym. When I haven't gone to the gym in a while and I'm just getting back into it, I usually go for 10 or 15 minutes. Getting there, that's the most important part. So as a student, you want to just get your hands on the instrument and practice, even for 5 minutes, play a song, just get into it. If you can just get into the flow over time, you'll start going from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 to 30 to an hour. So it does take time, but don't force them to be doing 30 minutes straight away off the cuff. Just get them to go do 5 minutes a day, and they'll start doing it more consistently. So consistency over inconsistency for sure. There's a quote by Bruce Lee, which is, "I don't fear the man who does 1,000 kicks in a day, but does 1 kick for 1,000 days." And I think that's something to bring into your head to think about. It's something to think about when we think about practicing or learning anything really. Consistency is going to beat out ability or talent. Number 3 is we check in, don't lecture. At the start of a lesson, ask how practices went. How's your week been? How's practice gone? And if the student's probably going to be honest if you ask like that, rather than just going straight to, "Yep, you haven't practiced. I can tell." I think that is going to have the student wanting to practice less or feel demotivated. Open up a conversation and don't just hit them with a statement like that. And then finally, we just adjust the difficulty. If they never practice, it's probably because it's something that they don't feel comfortable with yet. They're not good enough, they feel like. So either A, in the lesson, help them learn how to do it, or B, just give them something easier to work with. Maybe they're not at that level, and you just got to help them get there. And it's always good to remember that a student who doesn't practice isn't lazy per se, they're just lost. Laziness is very rare when you're actually interested to do something. There's motivation, and then there's just not knowing what to do. You're there to tell them what to do, give them a direction on where to go, and not just tell them to go do something, be very vague. But at the end of every lesson, if you want your student to be practicing what you say, I would suggest doing these. Write it down and give them a practice card or a voice note if you are speaking to them via direct messages. I kind of like to do emails, especially with adult teachers. Emailing is one of the more easier ways to get it across. You can send them files, send them documents of music notation, scans, anything like that, and you can get it all through in one email. You only have to do that once per week. Don't go doing it every day, checking in and giving them practice stuff, because that's more workload than you need. If you just give them a week's worth in one go, you'll be set. And then once they do it, just celebrate it. It doesn't have to be like a crazy birthday celebration. Just a simple, good job, good work, you're doing good, perfect. And that's really it. That's going to wrap it up. This one's a really simple one. Practicing is shockingly easy to fix if we know what the issue is. So really look at either A, giving clear directions, or B, starting off with less practice. Start off with a smaller section of practice time-wise, and then grow it over time, and that'll work for you. That'll usually work for the student. So that's going to be it. If you're looking to start teaching online more regularly or connect with students online or in person, best place to go check that out is sonaru.net. We are looking for our first 10 teachers. They'll get a bit of a special reward for being founding members. And that will be it for today. Next, we'll be talking about how to teach music with someone who cannot read music notation.